Hey there! I am Jimmy and you are watching Jimmy Fun Tales. Don't forget to subscribe my channel.
One evening, as Jimmy walked home from school, he noticed something strange in the sky, a shimmering light that seemed to hover just above the clouds. It was unlike any airplane or bird he had ever seen. The light moved slowly but steadily, almost like it was calling to him. "Is that a city?" Jimmy gasped, his heart racing as he stared at the glowing shape in the sky. His eyes widened, and he couldn't help but feel drawn to it. What was it? Why had he never noticed it before? Without thinking, Jimmy followed the glowing light, walking faster and faster until he reached the edge of town. Just as he thought the light would disappear, it suddenly stopped. In front of him, the light morphed into a gigantic floating city, suspended high above the ground, surrounded by clouds that seemed to glow with an otherworldly energy. The city's towers, made of glass and stone, gleamed like diamonds under the sunlight. Jimmy stood frozen for a moment, awestruck. This can't be real. As the light settled, the city loomed closer, still hovering in midair, seemingly inviting him. "It's real. It's real," Jimmy whispered to himself, overwhelmed by the sight before him. With wide eyes, he stepped forward, walking beneath the floating city. He looked around, searching for an entrance. That's when he noticed a large, ancient door set in the base of an old, stone clock tower. The door was framed with symbols, etched deeply into the stone. Some Jimmy recognized, some he didn't, but all of them shimmered faintly in the air. Before he could examine it further, a voice suddenly spoke from behind him. "You found it, Jimmy." Startled, he spun around and saw an elderly man standing there, dressed in robes adorned with glittering stars and moons. His long white beard flowed down to his chest, and his eyes were bright with a deep, knowing wisdom. "Who are you?" Jimmy asked, heart still racing. "I am Orion, keeper of the floating city," the man replied calmly. "And you, young adventurer, have been chosen to help us." "Chosen? Help with what?" Jimmy asked, now even more confused. Orion's eyes gleamed with a kind of magic. "The floating city is in danger. The city's heart, the crystal of eternity, has been stolen. Without it, the city will collapse into the void. Only you, Jimmy, can retrieve it." Jimmy blinked, still unsure. "Me? But why me? How can I save a whole city?" "The crystal of eternity holds the energy that powers this city," Orion explained. "And someone with the right heart, the right courage, can retrieve it. You're here because you have that courage. The journey will not be easy, but I will guide you." Orion gestured to the ancient door. "Go inside, Jimmy. The path to the crystal lies beyond. But be careful. There are many challenges along the way." Without another word, Jimmy stepped through the door, his heart pounding. The clock tower's interior was far more elaborate than he had expected, filled with winding staircases and glowing pathways. It seemed as though the tower itself was alive, humming with ancient magic. He followed Orion's instructions, making his way through twisting corridors and hidden chambers. Eventually, he found himself standing before a massive door, unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was covered in intricate symbols, glowing faintly, as though the door itself was breathing. "This is the labyrinth of the lost souls," Orion's voice echoed in his mind. "Only those with wisdom and courage can navigate through it. The crystal of eternity is hidden within, but many have lost their way trying to find it." Jimmy hesitated for a moment, but then stepped forward, determined. As he entered, the labyrinth seemed to shift around him, changing its form as if it had a mind of its own. The air grew colder, and the walls seemed to whisper, their voices blending together in a chorus of eerie sounds. He wasn't alone. Jimmy was soon surrounded by strange creatures, shadowy figures that flickered in and out of sight. They growled softly, their glowing eyes tracking his every move. Panic began to rise within him, but he knew he couldn't let fear control him. He took a deep breath, remembering Orion's words. Courage, wisdom. He needed to use his wits. As he moved forward, he noticed that the creatures couldn't pass certain boundaries, marked by symbols on the floor. Realizing that these symbols were the key, Jimmy began to focus on each one, solving small puzzles that allowed him to progress. After what felt like hours of navigating traps, puzzles, and illusions, Jimmy finally reached the heart of the labyrinth. There, resting upon a pedestal, was the crystal of eternity. It was a stunning, luminous gem, pulsating with a soft, rhythmic light, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. But just as he reached out to claim it, a shadowy figure stepped into the light. The Dark Scholar, a rogue magic user who had stolen the crystal. You think you can take it from me? The Dark Scholar sneered. This city is mine now. Without warning, the Dark Scholar raised his hands, and dark energy surged toward Jimmy. The air crackled with power, and the ground shook beneath them. Jimmy's heart raced. He had to act fast. In a moment of clarity, he realized that the crystal was more than just an object. It was a beacon of light, a force of balance. To defeat the Dark Scholar, he needed to unlock the full power of the crystal. He grasped the crystal with both hands, focusing his energy on the pure light inside it. As he did, the dark magic began to recede, overwhelmed by the power of the crystal. The Dark Scholar let out a roar as his magic shattered and his form crumbled to dust. With the crystal now glowing brightly, Jimmy placed it back onto its pedestal, and the labyrinth began to collapse. But instead of falling apart, the city around him shimmered with energy. The floating city, once dying, was now full of life and light. Orion appeared beside him, his eyes filled with pride. You've done it, Jimmy. The city is saved, and balance is restored. Jimmy smiled, exhausted but satisfied. The floating city was alive once again, and he had been the one to save it. As Orion handed him a small stone, glowing softly in his palm, he said, "This will always guide you, Jimmy. The city will remain open to you whenever you seek adventure." With one final look at the magnificent city, Jimmy felt a sense of pride swell inside him. He had just begun his greatest adventure.
Let's subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for more interesting videos.